One of the most interesting partnerships that has emerged in the past 2 years or so has been the rise of the Xbox and Nintendo brands working together. What started out as something that sounded a bit like a pipe dream quickly became a reality, as two of the three biggest names in video games entered an unwritten partnership with things like representation in games, cross-platform play, and eventually Xbox games ending up on the Nintendo Switch. But what's the future of this partnership? How far can things go in 2021 for Nintendo and Microsoft? While many thought we had started to see the end of this working relationship, the recent addition of Steve from Minecraft in Smash Bros. And news about Microsoft wanting Master Chief from Halo in Smash as well got me thinking that things are really just getting started with this relationship, and 2021 might be a pivotal year in the expansion of the Xbox brand on the Nintendo Switch. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's have some fun and let's speculate on the future of the Xbox and Nintendo relationship as far as 2021 is concerned and what we could potentially see with these companies doing. So before we talk about the future, we of course have to talk about the past and how everything led up to this point. Cross-platform play recently became a very hot topic in gaming over the past few years, with a company like Sony pretty much saying, hey, the best place to play games is on the PS4, so we aren't interested. Yet Nintendo and Xbox saw things in a bit of a different light, embracing cross-platform play. The Xbox One was struggling, but this was one of the starts, along with things like Game Pass, to show that Microsoft was turning into a bit of a more pro-consumer company by trying to offer a friendly standpoint on people getting into their games, no matter the platform. Games like Rocket League and Fortnite became cross-platform games, but the most interesting one was of course Minecraft. Now, technically, Minecraft is a Microsoft property, of course, and back in June of 2018, the Play Together, Survive Together campaign was launched, introducing cross-platform play for Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch and Xbox One, along with Windows-based PCs as well. Both companies put out a trailer showing people playing on the Xbox One and Nintendo Switch together in Minecraft, and honestly, it was a pretty big deal. Imagine in the 90s being able to play a Super Nintendo version of a game with someone on the Sega Genesis. Younger gamers today have it so much easier than us old heads did back in the day when we were growing up. Speaking of Minecraft, obviously Steve from Minecraft was just announced as the new DLC character for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which, while it drew some ire from some Smash fans because it wasn't really the character they wanted, this was yet again another huge deal. Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time by far. Steve, the lead character of Minecraft, is a very recognizable character, probably right up there with some of the biggest mascots ever. Of course, we have already said that Minecraft is a Microsoft property, but this isn't the first one we've seen enter into the Super Smash Bros. Universe. One of the biggest additions to the Smash Bros. Roster was the iconic Banjo-Kazooie edition. Of course, Banjo made his name on the N64 with the classic Rare title, but Microsoft ended up snagging Rare as a first-party studio for themselves for the original Xbox after Rare made some of the best games available on the N64. And while they never really managed to capture the same magic on Xbox systems with characters like Joanna Dark from Perfect Dark, Conker, and Banjo, people still love these characters from the N64 era and would love to see them return. So obviously when Banjo was revealed for Smash Bros., the internet blew up. Beyond just Banjo and Steve, we of course have seen Mii costumes from characters like Cuphead, which we'll talk about in a bit, and then an interesting tweet from Xbox of France that went up on October 2nd. If Nintendo wants Master Chief in Smash Bros., all they have to do is send the invitation. This would obviously be a monumental thing for Smash, but a topic like this obviously has many layers, so I want to cover that a bit more as we get deeper into this video. And finally, the last piece of the groundwork, and arguably the craziest, is Microsoft-owned games appearing on the Nintendo Switch. While Minecraft is of course available on everything and obviously has a very open policy, Cuphead releasing on the Nintendo Switch in April 2019 was quite a shock. This was one of the most desirable exclusives for the Xbox One, with a great visual style and soundtrack, which now found a brand new home on the Nintendo Switch and sold very well. A few months later, another huge game hit, Ori and the Blind Forest. A Game of the Year contender for many people on the Xbox One, this title once again found new life on the Nintendo Switch and once again was one of the best-selling games on the platform during its release month and subsequent months thereafter. The Nintendo Switch version actually featured optimization not found on the Xbox One version of the game, showing that this wasn't a cut and paste port, but something that a lot of time and effort went into. But then it appeared things were getting a bit quiet for this relationship. Phil Spencer pretty much put a damper on any more Xbox titles coming over to the Nintendo Switch and the partnership in general, so it looked like it was essentially the end of an era. But then enter Ori once again. Ori and the Will of Wisps burst onto the Nintendo Switch during the latest Partner Direct, with a surprise reveal and a launch of later that day, showing things that were far from over between Nintendo and Microsoft. And this is where we essentially stand now. As I mentioned earlier, Xbox of France tweeted that all Master Chief needs is an invitation to Smash Brothers and he would gladly join. So that really got me thinking of the future of this relationship now that we've established what the past is with it. The groundwork is already there, the relationship seems strong, but how much further can this go in 2021 and what would the benefit be for you for both of these companies? As far as Master Chief being in Smash is concerned, I honestly think it would be a great addition to the game, but let's be realistic. It wouldn't quite be the same without a game starring Master Chief on the Nintendo Switch. And while Halo Infinite has enough problems as it is with the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X versions of the game, there's the Halo Master Chief Collection, which I think would make a lot more sense on the Nintendo Switch. These games obviously aren't as taxing as something like the next Halo is going to be, and although file sizes for some of these games are rather large, I think Xbox could do a drip feed of these games, or maybe even just do a Master Chief trilogy consisting of Halo 1, 2, and 3. Let's be real, these are great games in the franchise. Nintendo fans would eat it up, and it would be the first time Halo was portable. Remember, Halo DS was an actual thing that was being pitched around, so this isn't really outside of the realm of possibility. It would make sense for Microsoft to do it too, because one of the biggest things about putting games on the Nintendo Switch isn't necessarily the game sales or revenue or anything like that, but increasing brand awareness in the region that they have always struggled in, Japan. Nintendo is the king of Japan, and Xbox is nothing more than an afterthought, if really even that. Obviously, if you aren't selling hardware, you aren't selling software either, so Xbox putting games on a Nintendo Switch does help things like game sales. But more importantly, it raises brand awareness in that region so that people who maybe wrote off the Xbox years ago in Japan are now reintroduced to them. Maybe they'll check out some more games from the studio, maybe they'll even check out the hardware. It makes perfect sense for Xbox to want to expand this partnership into Japan because they can actually gain some momentum there for once. Rare Replay is another game that makes perfect sense on the Nintendo Switch, considering the fact that most of these great games in the compilation were of course released on Nintendo platforms. Upscaled versions of games like Banjo-Kazooie, Perfect Dark, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and more are available on this, and let's be realistic, this game has definitely run its course on the Xbox One. It's not moving units anymore, it's not generating system sales or software sales, so why not put this game on the Nintendo Switch to tap into that retro audience on the system that is alive and well, and spends a lot of money, and of course has fond memories of these titles, as most of these titles are games that these people grew up with. Of course, you can have other things that Xbox could potentially add to the Nintendo Switch, such as a light version of Game Pass to have a wider access to a wide variety of games for a monthly subscription fee and more, as Xbox does like their services with their games. But I think the most important thing going forward in the relationship in the future is keeping it strong for the future. With Microsoft acquiring large studios like Bethesda, I think we all agree at some point in time in the probably very near future, these games from Bethesda are going to become exclusive to the Xbox brand. Games like Elder Scrolls and Doom are now all under that umbrella, and let's be real, Bethesda has done a very good job of putting games on the Nintendo Switch thus far, and has been an important third-party partner for the platform. While I don't think Xbox and the PlayStation 5 will be working together on titles, I do think that the Nintendo Switch, or maybe the Nintendo Switch 2 if we are in that time frame, would be a viable candidate for some of these Bethesda games if the relationship manages to stay strong. It's funny when you think about it though, because as much as many people want Nintendo to be in direct competition with Xbox and PlayStation in terms of things like powerful hardware, their lack of desire to do that is probably what made this relationship with Microsoft blossom in the first place. I think 2021 is going to step things up into another gear with these companies as well, with the potential for more Xbox One titles to hit the Nintendo Switch, the continuation of crossplay being a major focus, and who knows, maybe even a Game Pass Lite will end up coming to the system as well. I definitely think both companies can benefit from this from a financial standpoint and from a brand awareness standpoint, and I think 2021 will be very interesting to see what ends up happening. Alright, so that was a look into the relationship between Nintendo and Microsoft thus far and what I think we could expect to see in the future. Now, obviously, a lot of this is just sort of speculation, but I think you have the groundwork there for a lot of these things to potentially become a reality and things that I think would make sense for both companies. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think of the Nintendo and Microsoft relationship. Do you see it expanding even more in 2021? Have you liked what they've done so far? And do you think Microsoft acquiring a company like Bethesda will end up impacting the Nintendo Switch? Will Bethesda continue to work with the Nintendo Switch under the Microsoft umbrella? And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel as well. My eye is watering for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe this video was just so beautiful, I had to cry a little bit. I just had to cry. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.